when you come into the overland space, you have lots of opportunities to buy gear. Everybody's going to sell you the next new widget or whatever that's going to be, but eventually you're going to run out of power. And so everybody's thinking, oh, we got to get solar. We got to do that. We got to have ways to power it. We got to have the right panels. And there's everything from these big clunky glass panels to huge batteries that are cost you, $700-800, and they're well marketed, big firms, everybody's got a big line. But the thing is really try and find the guys that were at the beginning of this industry, the ones that were cutting edge when we first started this, and see where they're all about. And Overland Solar is one of those companies. So I'm very happy to visit with those guys, and we're going to meet Brian Wirtz, their CEO.
I started out of an off-grid cabin. I got out of a career in law enforcement and was trying to figure out what to do. I had one other skill set, and it was off-grid, and it was solar. So I had a place out in the middle of nowhere. There will never be power out there. So I had already made my own system out there. And figuring out how to do portable that would actually work when it was always overcast, because this is in Washington State. And that's just math. That's just doing equations and figuring out how to make it work. So we started with some small solar panels, some small portables that did not look anything like this, where I was actually doing it and sewing it and making those things. We made some large glass panels, and we started from there. This was just a me company. I had a Class B van, and I would start going to overland shows. So I've been to East multiple times, usually driving from the Washington State area all the way across. Got tired of seeing corn that much, but now we get to fly. So the company's grown up, and we have dealers on the East Coast. That's what we're out here for now.
Is it an Overland Solar private jet that you're taking
down? No, we're not that big, and I would never get in one of those anyway. I still love driving. I still love overlanding, but I have to be back in the office on Monday, and so it's a little easier when we're in Virginia. Yeah. But that's kind of where it started. Andrew Cole, my business partner, we were actually partners in police work, and I had met him, and he was a reserve officer, so he was a Fortune 200 CEO of his own company. He was selling it, or investors bought it, and so he was getting out of that. And it was the perfect time to actually kind of combine a little bit. And we didn't officially combine for a couple of years. He just gave me pointers on kind of actually how to make this work, not go into debt, not take a bunch of loans, and grow a company without debt. And so that's what we did. And if I hadn't done that, we would not be in business today. But it gave me time to develop and figure out the next better thing. So basically, this is the next better thing. We have multiple versions of, this is the Bug Out 130. So this is the most recent version of it, and we've upgraded a few things. So like I said, when we sell things to some of the, maybe a special forces team or Antarctic, if you look on our website, that's the youngest French explorer that go to the South Pole, and he did it on foot in 47 days. That's our small unit. Those solar doesn't work if it's going to be below freezing and you're opening and closing, and the wires can get brittle and crack. Little things like that. The Swedish military, same thing, brittle and cracking. So we had to figure out how to make wires work in sub-zero degrees. We also did things like this, 1050D ballistic nylon, which most overlander doesn't need. It's overbuilt, but it's actually, to be honest, it's just easier to have one material and not have a bunch of different materials out there.
And nobody's gonna thwart you for building quality, right? So.
Yeah, they're not gonna throw it away because it's better or it's overbuilt. But things like 70-pound pull tabs on D-rings to be able to strap these to packs and really take a load. Most people won't need those. So, but this is the Bug Out, and like I said,
Now this is what I have in the back of my truck. So for those that follow us, the FJ has used solar panels a lot, and I have just literally strapped this on top of my rooftop tent, and left it there, and boom, everything's just flying along. So
yeah, so this is like I said, this is folded up. It's about 8 to 8.5 pounds, and my goal was to make it as small as possible, but not sacrifice some rigidity or you can make a solar panel. I could probably cut 2 or 3 pounds off, but then we're going to start getting into can you really break it? These have been driven over. I suggest you don't do it, but they've been driven over. They can break, but we try to make it where they will just last 20 years and not cause a problem. So this is like 130 watts. It's an honest 6.5 amps, 7 amps, and that is the most common thing when you pair that to a battery. Like this is Dometic This is their PLB 40. Dometic's one of the companies, a few companies that actually called me, their engineering, and when they were developing this to figure out what are good voltages to use and things like that. So they asked the questions. So that's a PLB 40, but the bug out plugs into there's adapters for everything. So that is the 8mm barrel. You'll see this on the smaller Jackeries, Goal Zeros, and lots of the little battery packs. Here's an XT60. That's going to go into your the EcoFlow River series. Another big one, Mini Anderson.
Yeah, big Anderson.
Jackeries, Goal Zeros, a lot of the you'll see at Costco, Lion Energy batteries. You can also slide these apart and then reorient them for Goal Zero, so up and down. And you don't need to buy all these expensive adapters. The bug out ends in this SB50 right here, which is basically that bug out that we were just looking at is powering this guy. Now that panel hasn't been in the sun all weekend. This thing is a brand new PLB 40, so they're about 50% full, and this was 50%. So this hasn't seen the sun all weekend. We're at 80% in that indirect sun, and that's the point. We want to have a higher voltage panel that can take cloud cover. It's still going to work because solar is easy in the sun. Anything you buy on Amazon, it'll work when it's sunny. You want to get it when it's kind of like this. It's going to be a little bit cloudy once in a while. It's going to be overcast. It's going to rain. And yes, this can sit out in the rain all day long. You know, it's waterproof. Like a tent, you want to let it dry out so it doesn't get mildewy. But every one of these comes with a 20-foot end, and they all end in that. So this is our common, just the SB50. And then it comes with an SB50 to SAE, but you can also get, like I said, all these adapters. So as long as the charge controller is built in, like it is on most of these, plug it into that, plug it in, and then go camp and go hike and go do your thing and stop worrying about power. That's kind of the deal.
So Brian, that's a fascinating story, and you know, I mean, I love coming to these kinds of Overland Expos. You're going to see a lot of huge companies here, a lot of companies that are private equity funded. You know, people throwing together a trailer, knocking off somebody else's things. But then, if you look carefully, you're going to find entrepreneurs that are really rooted in making the best product. And doing that beyond how quick they can get it into Costco, or whether or not QVC is going to carry it or whatever. This is about building a product that's reliable, that when you take it out off-road, it's a life or death situation sometimes. And if you don't have power out there, if you can't run your water tank, if you can't run your refrigerator, if you can't run your lighting, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm sure, and tell us about a little bit about what you're doing with the military. I know that's another set of your clients.
Yeah, well, first I can promise that you won't see our stuff on QVC or in Costco's or any of that stuff, and my business partner would freak out if I was saying that. That's not ever going to happen, or I'll sell the company. It's important for me to own the company and to make decisions, so on that. As far as we make a smaller 26 and a 40. And now we've designed the boards in those things, and they're made in Boise. So unlike, you know, none of that stuff's made in China, because you can't sell to the military for any of those things.
Right.
So we make a 26 and a 40 watt that is extraordinarily small, but the same components and the same durability of the big bug out. So if a person's out in the field, like in Sweden, which we were just dealing with, they can actually get a charge to GPS devices. There's an output for military radio on that model, and it will actually, to an exact voltage, charge their radio systems. So that's what we've been doing for quite a while.
Good. That's fantastic. Well, listen, I'm gonna hang out with this guy a little bit more, check out the show. Maybe we'll go visit a few other clients.
Yes.
But, man, I'll tell you just one final story. So I had one problem with my battery 3 or 4 years ago. And I don't know, you must have like a memory of forever, because I called you. I just said, hey, by the way, I mentioned the thing. He goes, oh, yeah, I remember you. Yeah. And I said, well, this isn't working. He goes, oh, well, you know, take the battery out because that's pretty heavy, but ship it back to me and, you know, I'll work on it. And I got it back, you know, a week later with a little note from you saying, hey, sorry for the problem. That was years after I bought it. So the fact that you're meeting someone that takes that kind of pride in the work, fixes the problem that he didn't even cause, I'm sure I did, brings me back again and again. So if you want to find out more about Overland Solar, it's overlandsolar.com. Brian Wirtz is the founder. Good guy. I appreciate everything you're doing, brother.
It's great
Thanks
to see
for
you
everything
again.
you did.
All right,
See you
take care.
soon.